Hella fellas. Welcome back to Top 5 Choices. Today's video I am gonna do a detailed review and pick the top 5 best the top 5 best 75-inch TV. After doing proper researches, we came to the conclusion that meets the best in terms of overall. Kindly leave a like if you find this helpful, and I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications if you haven't. We'll be back with more videos. The Hisense H8G is a very good budget TV and a nice upgrade over its predecessor, the Hisense H8F. It has a VA panel with a high contrast ratio and a full array local dimming feature, allowing it to produce deep blacks for a great darkroom viewing experience. It has decent reflection handling and can overcome glare easily in bright environments. There's very little blur in fast-moving content, as it has a quick response time and an optional black frame insertion feature to further improve motion clarity. Its input lag is low enough for most casual gamers. However, it doesn't support any advanced gaming features like variable refresh rate (VRR) technology. Also, while it has a good color gamut to produce rich and saturated colors in HDR content, it doesn't get quite bright enough to truly make highlights stand out, especially if you're viewing in a well-lit room. The Hisense H8G is a very good TV for most users. It's great for watching movies in dark rooms thanks to its excellent contrast ratio and full array local dimming feature. The HDR experience is a bit limiting as it can't get quite bright enough to bring out some highlights. However, it has a good response time and very low input lag for gaming, and it's a good choice for watching TV shows or sports. It can get bright enough to combat glare, but you quickly lose image accuracy when viewing from the side. The feet are made out of metal and are adjustable. The stand supports the TV fairly well, especially when the feet are in the widest position possible, but there's still some wobble. Footprint of the 55 stand at the narrow position, 35.9 x 9.7. Footprint of the 55 stand at the wide position, 43.9 x 9.7. The Hisense H8G has a nice and simple design, similar to the Hisense H8F. The stand is made out of metal, and you can change the position of the feet to accommodate smaller tables, which is a nice feature. 3 of the borders are thin while the bottom is a bit thicker, but it shouldn't be distracting. The Hisense H8G has a decent build quality, but it doesn't have a premium build like other high-end TVs. The TCL 6 Series QLED isn't the most beautifully designed TV we've ever seen. For lack of a better word, we'd describe it as industrial. It's all brushed chrome around the outside bezel with a small logo along the bottom edge of the screen near the IR receiver. It's fairly chunky, and the V-shaped legs attached via screws in the back point inward to give it stability. There's not really any way to manage cables that come into the back of the TV, and for folks who are all about wall mounting their TV, it probably won't look great on a wall considering how thick it is. So how thick are we talking? At its thinnest point, the 6 Series QLED is a chunky 1.25 inches thick and over 2 inches at its thickest point near the bottom of the screen. It's thicker than most screens at this price point because it's using a full array panel, i.e. the LED lights are located throughout the screen rather than just on the edges. That's a good thing because the TV can then be more uniformly lit, increasing brightness and enhancing contrast, but it comes at the expense of thinness. Spin it around to the back and you'll find 4 HDMI 2.0 ports with HDCP 2.2, 1 USB 2.0 port. The Z8H/DH8 doesn't look especially cutting edge. The frame is reasonably slim, but nothing like as narrow as the barely there bezel of Samsung's flagship Q950TS 8K TVs. The bezel feels a touch untidy, too, thanks to its mixture of different finishes. That said, while the silvery metal outer trim that runs right around the screen maybe looks a bit much when viewing the TV head-on, it does add a nice premium feel when you're looking at the screen from any other angle. The 2 metal feet Sony provides with the 75ZH8 can be attached either flat towards the screen's center or on their edges under the screen's bottom corners. The latter fit is much more elegant, but the more central mounting option is welcome for people looking to mount the TV on a narrow piece of furniture. Unlike the Sony A8 OLED, you can't adjust the feet so that they lift the screen up to make room for a sound bar. As we'll see though, Sony might well argue that the TV's sound is so good you won't feel the need to add a soundbar anyway. Not least because one of the most unusual aspects of its design finds a narrow forward-firing speaker system sitting below the screen. The whole TV is extravagantly well built and injuriously heavy, and its unusually deep, 2-tiered rear panel has all sorts of removable plastic covers so that it can still present a clean face, or rather, but to the world once you've hooked all your sources up. The Z8H/DH8 is accompanied by one of Sony's more premium remote control designs. This boasts a metallic finish that's easy on the eye and hand, and its buttons are both prominent and, for the most part, well organized. Even better, the buttons are backlit. Connectivity includes 4 HDMI and 3 USB ports, as you would expect of a flagship TV in 2020, as well as Wi-Fi and Bluetooth wireless multimedia playback support, Apple AirPlay 2 and HomeKit support, and Google Chromecast support. Also, much more unusually, there are a pair of gold-plated audio terminals so that you can use the TV's built-in speakers as the center speaker in a wider sound system. A firmware update in October upgraded one of the TV's HDMIs, set apart from the others and clearly labeled as the 8K input. The Samsung Q80/Q80T QLED is an impressive 4K TV, delivering fantastic picture quality in nearly every type of content. It has a VA panel that can produce deep blacks and a full-array local dimming to further improve black levels. It has excellent color accuracy out of the box and an impressive HDR color gamut to produce a wide range of colors. Its viewing angles are decent thanks to Samsung's Ultra Viewing Angle layer, so you don't lose too much image accuracy when viewed from the side. It handles reflections remarkably well and gets very bright, enough to fight glare and to deliver a good HDR experience. It has exceptionally low input lag, a 120Hz refresh rate, and support for variable refresh rate (VRR) technology to reduce screen tearing. Unfortunately, the screen has some minor uniformity issues that can be distracting for some. Although this can vary between units, the Samsung Q80T is an impressive all-around TV. It's great for watching movies or other content in the dark thanks to its high contrast ratio, but it also performs well in bright rooms because of its high peak brightness and incredible reflection handling. HDR content also looks good since it has a wide color gamut and gets bright enough for some highlights to pop. It has an excellent response time, so motion looks clear in fast-moving content like video games or sports, and it comes with advanced features like VRR support. The Samsung Q80T has a simple and minimalist design with thin bezels on all sides. It's center-mounted on a pedestal-style stand. The stand is a mix of metal and plastic. It provides decent support for the TV, but there's still a fair amount of wobble. Samsung Neo QLED televisions sport LEDs that have been reduced to 1/40th of their traditional size, allowing for a huge increase to both brightness and black levels. As the LEDs are far smaller, they're able to achieve far more precision and less blooming, so the act of seeing bright areas of the screen unnaturally bleed over into darker spots should be greatly reduced or not evident at all. We kicked things off by watching the stunning documentary series Our Planet on Netflix. Immediately we were treated to a view of Earth from the moon, with a wide expanse of tiny, glittering stars surrounded by the deep blackness of space. That we could make out these individual specks without light bleeding around them was more than impressive for a non-OLED display. Skipping forward a bit, we found ourselves viewing a lush, green rainforest against a backdrop of picturesque mountains. The detail here was off the charts, with an intense clarity that looked sensational given its 4K source, proving that there's no real hurry for native 8K content to arrive. The next thing we booted up was Robert Rodriguez's visually spectacular epic Alita, Battle Angel in Ultra HD. Once again, we were impressed by how sharp and clean the film looked on the QN900A, offering an incredible amount of detail, rich colors and deep blacks. It's worth mentioning that we did notice some instances of light bleed in one scene near the beginning of the film, in which Alita is looking over her new mechanical body. In the image below, you'll see some light bleeding from her bright chest plates into the black bar at the bottom of the screen. Of course, we didn't really notice this elsewhere, and it must be said that the highlights in this scene are especially bright. Still, it does show that even with mini LEDs that light bleeding can still occur. One of the big selling points of any 8K TV is how well it handles upscaling. And thankfully the QN900A does a great job of making content look crystal clear without any artificial smoothing. Take the above image of Alita as an example. It's clean and sharp, yet you can still make out its fine, film-like grain. Taking advantage of Samsung's multi-intelligence AI upscaling, the QN900A was consistently able to produce images that looked better than their source. We're not saying that it made any 4K content look like native 8K, but it did make it appear better than Ultra HD when viewed up close. On 8K TVs, pixels are much closer together, and therefore much more difficult to individually make out than on 4K sets. In our tests, we watched content from a variety of sources, including 480p episodes of Gargoyles on Disney Plus and 1080p episodes or Brooklyn Nine-Nine on Netflix in order to see how the QN900A's upscaling fared. While there's not a lot that can be done with older standard definition content these days, we were glad to see that it didn't look especially stretched out or fuzzy on this massive 8K screen. Modern 1080p content, however, looked excellent. Taking into consideration that one FHD pixel is stretched across 16 pixels on an 8K TV, Samsung's AI-powered Neo Quantum Processor 8K chip is necessary to stitch together these additional pixels in a way that's clean and natural looking, without any aliasing or fuzziness to speak of. While we weren't able to test any 4K/120Hz content during our review period, we did take a look at a number of 8K/60 FPS test videos and found the QN900A delivered consistently smooth motion with nary a hiccup to speak of, outside of a couple of instances where our Wi-Fi wasn't able to keep up. As discussed earlier, the QN900A speakers have been integrated into the left and right sides of the TV. You won't find audio shouting out of the back of this television, but Samsung's much-touted Object Tracking Sound Pro feature does a good job of bringing depth to whatever you happen to be watching, making it easy to track noises moving from left to right.